right, guys, welcome back to Total Disclosure Live, revamped. We're here with my buddy. Wait, am I pointing the wrong way? Josh Maitland, remote viewer. And today we have a big show for you. Kind of early in the morning. I'm not used to doing shows this early anymore, Josh. I'm surprised you're awake.
Yeah, most of my shows happen at night too, so it's different for me as well.
But we're both here. We're both interested in what we're about to talk about. I think everybody in the UFO or any related phenomena that encompasses UFOs, the paranormal, and all that knows who Lou Elizondo is. Now, Elizondo has had this book in the works for multiple years, and it's finally coming out next month. I know I have my pre-order. I don't know if you've ordered it yet, but there was a fiasco. Google leaked like 60 of the pages, and I don't know if they're real, like if it was a leak, or if it was like here's something for everyone who's been waiting so long. Because I mean, the leak has everything from the Christopher Mellon forward to the chapter titles, and the way it's written looks correct. But there's a lot of talk in those pages, and we're not gonna blow Lou's book up or anything like that. But there were a few things that have been talked about in detail in those pages, and I want to start with Roswell because at one point in the pages, and this has been circulating, Jimmy Church has talked about it, so I think it's pretty safe to say out there. But in a conversation with Kit Green, he basically asks Kit Green about Roswell, and Roswell, Kit, was it Kit or Hal Puthoff? I don't remember. But Kit basically tells him that you can take Roswell to the bank. That's a big statement.
Yeah.
So
I haven't read any of the pages, so I've caught some of the stuff people have been talking about on Twitter or whatever, but I'm waiting for the full thing to come out before I dive in.
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
I think Roswell was probably a real event. I mean, there's just so many stories from so many people, and it's been investigated so often over the years, and people seem to all keep coming to the same conclusions about it. Like
something happened that night.
Yeah, for sure.
Something definitely happened that night, and the military doesn't put out a press release like that every day. Let's just put it that way, right? Yeah. And then retract it the next day. But
yeah,
if for some reason, if when Lou's book comes out, it turns out that these are the real pages, Kit Green is someone who doesn't really like joke around or like poke fun or say something he doesn't mean. He's a very real person who is very serious about the topic. So if he is actually saying that you can take the Roswell story to the bank, then that truly means that we have been in possession of UAP or UFOs since the 40s, right?
Yeah, so and that would be consistent with what David Grush has been saying and stuff too, like that the program goes all the way back to the 40s and 50s, and anti-gravity research got kicked off pretty heavy in the 50s and then suddenly just stopped, which maybe it just went underground. I don't know. There's been lots of disparate kind of data points coming out in the last few years that really do suggest that something's been going on since at least kind of World War II sort of time, as far as our humanity's direct interaction with I would say the technology associated with the phenomenon. I think the phenomenon itself has been a much longer process. Like we've even biblical times, there's lots, and the ancient alien stuff, all of that. Like it's it's something that's been around forever, but I think just the character of it started ramping up, probably around that time in the 40s, 50s, and my cat's attacking my background there. So that's not ghosts or anything.
I wish it was. Come on, just let the audience believe it, man. Oh, no.
I want to
Well,
believe.
here's the thing. Here's what I am very, very interested in is because you actually brought it up. Now, anti-gravity. Now, this was something that was in all like the popular mechanics magazines.
Yeah.
Scientists were saying that they were, a couple of years away from a breakthrough, and then all of a sudden, boom, gone.
Nothing.
Literally out of all the science magazines, out of all the circulation, it just disappeared. Now, could that be because the military industrial complex had been formed and they had kind of put the cat back in the bag and stuffed it shut and said, this is now slapped under a national security order. Do you think that is something that could have possibly happened?
Seems plausible. I mean, I'm only basing that assumption on what I've seen out in the public sphere. Like, I know Jesse Michaels did a really cool episode of American Alchemy about I think it was Townsend Brown.
Townsend Brown, yeah.
And his research into all the anti-grav stuff. And I mean, people are seeing stuff out there. Like, since the whole time I've been on the planet, there's been people reporting these things, and well before that too. So I do think probably some of what people see in the skies is legitimate phenomenon. I imagine there likely is some kind of reverse engineering program. Certainly the stuff that's out in the public sphere seems to suggest that, and some pretty reputable people coming out and saying that this is the case. And yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing LUE's book when it drops, because he's been in the game. He presumably knows a lot more about what's going on than we do. So it'll be interesting to hear his take on it all.
Here is my issue, and I know I'm always going to stay neutral, but LUE had claimed to run the ATIP program, right? Now that's the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
Yeah.
This and it's not like he put the notion in there that it had nothing to do with OSAP. It wasn't until he was questioned hard on the fact that he had to separate the two. So if no one had pressed him on it, I think he would have let people believe that ATIP was because originally, remember in the New York Times, when the 2017 article came out, people don't realize how many errors were in it. ATIP did not receive the money. That was OSAP. That was God, I always forget what OSAP stands for.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Weapon Systems Applications Process Program.
Okay.
Something like that. They were the ones that received the 22 million. Now, by the time LUE had taken charge, if he took charge of this program called ATIP, that was, by the time LUE had taken it over, it was basically unfunded. There was no money in it, right? The money had run out. It had run out because Bigelow had gotten the contract, used it, studying Skinwalker Ranch, other ranches like the other ranch that he owned at the same time. It's I can't remember right off the top of my head.
Mount something or other.
Yes.
There's a mountain, Carl Crusher, the one Carl Crusher he's doing stuff on. Yeah.
Yep. That one. He owned both of them at the same time. So that's where the 22 million went. Now, Harry Reid asked for more money, and then they used the ATIP moniker as a way to kind of not trick Congress, but to conceal that they were looking into the paranormal and the otherworldly, they changed the name from OSAP to ATIP in the public sphere. So when they did the proposal for the next couple of years after the money ran out, they wanted more money, and the money increased every year. But OSAP didn't have enough to prove or didn't have enough to show, so they ultimately lost funding and the program was scrapped. Now, I'm not saying ATIP didn't exist, but what I'm saying is ATIP was probably more of an unfunded program that people like Elizondo who are interested, right, did as more of like not a hobby, because I would say that that's wrong too. I think they definitely had very, very dense motives and wanting to get to the bottom of it. But I do think it was a group of people that were just as interested in this topic as you and I, and were just as motivated. And they were just in a position where they could kind of take that ATIP moniker and carry the torch, even though it was unfunded. And I don't think that's a problem.
There's also, different, if you have different projects on your roster, like I'm a project manager, so I know how some of that stuff works too. And if you've got different projects, each project has kind of a bucket of money, let's say, that you've got that you can draw from for it. So if they've got this empty bucket and they want to go to Congress and get more money and fill up their bucket so they can do more stuff, having the fact that something already exists and you want more money is a lot easier than getting a new project from scratch, right? So I imagine probably there's some element of that to it, like probably more of like a bureaucracy, logistics type thing there.
Think about it like this.
Just throwing it out there, but
you don't. Yeah, well, no, you're absolutely right. You don't get
there's
money.
Also history of Congress not liking paranormal research. Like I don't have anything to verify this per se, but I've heard that part of why the old remote viewing program was scrapped was because certain Congress folks who were of a religious persuasion thought that it was the work of the devil and decided to kibosh it on that basis. So it is controversial stuff. So I get that. I get,
Yeah, it's definitely a huge problem in our government that they think that we're dealing with angels and demons. Like we need to wipe that off the surface, because even if we are dealing with angels and demons, it's our duty to figure the shit out. Figure it out.
What is happening?
What is happening? And there are people that think that my issue with Elizondo, I like him. I really do. I like, something in me wants to like him. And but then again, I say the same thing about Rick Doty. And like, I don't know if Rick Doty's lying right to my face. He's either the best, he should be in Hollywood, or he's telling the truth. And I think that's where some people think